Oh.
Oh, it says on my side, meetings now streaming live.
Okay. Mine is doing thinking. Oh, where are we? Are we there? Okay, I think it's working.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. I'm going live today with Rhiannon from Awakening Avalon. And what we're going to talk about is the Visibility Gateway, which I've run 2 rounds of now. We just ended round 2 and round 3 will be in August. And it's just been, I mean, just amazing. And I put it together over a number of years, little bits and pieces were coming together. And then when lockdown happened, I was like, this is the time. So I kind of put what I had together, and I've been absolutely like blown away with the results people are getting, with the feedback. It's been emotional at times, just seeing like what's been happening for people and watching people do videos in week 1 and like terrified, and then ending up doing videos on week 5, and it's just like people are shining and expressing themselves and so much more confident. I'm sure there's still like little bits and pieces that integrate over time and practice, but becoming visible with your mission, your gift, your modality isn't always as easy as it seems. And I think a lot of people, quite terrified by going live on Facebook or even writing posts or sharing what they do. And so that's why I put this together, is to help people understand the fears of visibility, because they're not as simple as like, I'm shy, or I don't like speaking in public. It can go so much deeper, looking at, the collective squashing of the healing arts and of, that kind of knowledge. So therefore that's in our system too. And then there's all the, ancestral stories of not being able to speak your truth and all that kind of thing. So it's like, we're really looking at it on many, many layers, not just our school experiences or home life. So yeah, it's very multi-layered, and I'm sure throughout this chat it'll become clearer what I mean by all that. But yeah, essentially, Visibility Gateway is a gateway. It's a portal into becoming visible with your work, and in how you want to express that in the world. And sometimes the problem is that you do that and then it doesn't work. People don't respond. It doesn't land. People don't hear what you're saying, and it just, yeah. So it sort of like falls flat. So it's working on all that journey from expressing yourself and for it to land out there. So I'm with Rhiannon of Awakening Avalon, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and what she does. So yeah, please go ahead.
Well, it's so good to be here with you, Sarah. I'm just delighted to spend this time chatting with you. And yeah, so my name is Rhiannon, and I'm the founder of Awakening Avalon Temple. And Awakening Avalon Temple is a community that is an educational community. And I run a beautiful, very in-depth 3-year Priestess Path program. It's a training for women who really feel a very deep spiritual calling, like a vocation, and they want to lead and truly embody themselves and really serve the creation of the new world, basically. And so, yeah, so I created this 3-year leadership program for women, and I also run pilgrimages and vision quests for my Native American lineage. And so I work with women, and women that have, like I said, a very deep calling. And oftentimes that shows up in a way where they have never really fit in the world that we've grown up in. And so they have this very powerful offering, wisdom, this ancient wisdom that's inside, that they're born with. And it actually is meant to serve a greater community. And so oftentimes it will show up and kind of wreak some havoc in personal lives. And many of these women who are priestesses and feel this calling can't figure out who they are or find a career path that suits them. They never really feel comfortable and well adjusted, right? And so what is true is that there's this magic that it is meant to create, and it's meant to live inside of a world that really supports and prospers everyone. And it needs to be directed, and it needs to be nurtured and grown in particular ways. And so the Priestess Path program that I offer actually supports all of that to emerge for a woman and bring her into a place of really embodying this leadership potential that's very different than what we've known of leadership potential being embodied as in the power over world that we've lived in.
Beautiful. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing. And from what I understand, you've got several like generations of it now, or what do you call it?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we have actually 4 generations of it's the reestablishment of a lineage, actually. You know, these lineages that were broken, these ancient spiritual lineages, women's spirituality lineages that were broken during the times of the Inquisition and all of the trauma that happened during, they're called the burning times. This is actually something that you know, I know that when I was in your Visibility Gateway, the first round, we were working with a lot of women who have this calling, do have a block around visibility because of having been persecuted, because of all of this capacity and this deep wisdom that threatens and is, you know, can create a, you know, it's meant to develop and to heal and to empower and bring people back into sovereignty. And so power over structures don't like it, right? So yeah, so anyway, so we have, there's myself, and then the woman that I studied with, my high priestess, and then I have women that have studied with me who are now teaching, and then there's another generation that they're teaching. So there's 4 generations.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, so if, you know, when I met you, I was almost surprised you want to do the Visibility Gateway. Can you explain why? Because you're there, you're doing your thing, you've got a whole organization, you know, your confidence is sort of there. And when we meet you, you're just like got this amazing energy, and it's just beautiful. And then so I was like, wow, you want to do the Visibility Gateway. Do you want to speak a little bit into why you felt?
Yeah, I would love to speak to that, especially because I feel that one of the things that many women, as we grow into our leadership and our teachers, we actually imprint on a patriarchal or power over version of visibility. And so I actually, although I have been teaching for many, many years now, and like you said, on my path for quite a bit of time, I actually always had this inner part of me that I had to put aside. And I'm an introvert and, you know, kind of in my personal life, very deeply introverted. I was very, very shy as a young girl, all of that. But more than that, I actually felt like what I was doing was I had developed a false voice, that my true voice had been exiled in some way, you know, out of a place of fear of persecution or whatever it might be. There's lots and lots of layers, and it was powerful in your Visibility Gateway to see all the links between the different, you know, the different challenges that we can have when we bring our work into the world. And so I felt called to your Visibility Gateway, first of all, because we'd done the aura transformation many years ago. And I just want to say to everyone who's listening to this, you know, Sarah is amazing. You're in your genius zone with this work. And so I trust my intuition, and I trust the call that I feel to work with someone. And I knew that when I saw the Visibility Gateway, that this was the time, you know, this was really the time for me to actually call my true voice back in. And I really wanted to not have to put aside the part of me that went into collapse, that got terrified still about being out and, you know, teaching. And I've kind of managed it over the years, but still felt like I was suppressing that part, or really truly having to kind of put her in a timeout in order to then come and teach or to share, speak, or anything like that. And I know so many women feel the same way.
I was going to say one thing to that, which is what I've noticed with this round that we've just had now, is that a lot of people are experiencing that their capacity, like the need to get out there and make whatever they've done bigger or smarter or further reach, the more they expand into being able to hold that energy, or more clients, or more magic, or whatever it is, more money. The things that are keeping you from being visible in whatever layer we're talking about get stronger. So it's almost like, you're pushing that small voice that was like, oh, I'm terrified, further down, and she's going to burst at some point and be like, that, pay attention to me now. So people becoming even more terrified as they get closer to being more visible. Like maybe they've got their one-to-one thing going well, but then they're like, okay, now it's the next bit, and that's when they've come to the visibility gateway, because it's like, okay, I need to be able to step into the next step. And there's like some unknown, and I think a lot of people, when there's a lack of alignment or something blocking something like visibility, is it's body symptoms, throat closing up, rashes, like just so many physical or mental, emotional sensations happening that stop people being able to do what they want to do. But people doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I know that in the priestess path work that I do, we talk about the journey of initiation, and we reach thresholds of growth. And whenever we come to another threshold of growth, there's usually a territory that's there where there's doubt, confusion, disorientation, fear, and definitely the obstacles get more intense and amplify, right? Or what we think of as the obstacles. And really what they're doing is they're ushering us through, it's a portal space. It's an energetic portal space. And we grow in two different ways. We grow through being nurtured, and we also grow through being challenged. And, in order to really truly mature and bring your real voice or your work out into the world, it's a change of identity that has to happen. It's an energetic shift. It's an emotional shift. It's a belief set shift. And this really means also letting go of who we have been, right? So, I know that I felt moments of that for sure as I went through the visibility gateway. And it was, I think, one of the most powerful things about the course was that, we've done one-to-one work, which is just brilliant, and definitely recommend that as well. But there's something where I do know that in terms of growing into the new earth and a new paradigm, we're really moving from me-based cultures to we-based cultures. And so the group experience is extraordinary. Plus, I also really feel that many of the experiences that we have around our voice are very collective experiences and kind of a collective identity or even collective pain body that we're working with. And so to be able to do it within the field of a circle, of a council, of a whole group is an extraordinary thing, because we can see ourselves mirrored, and we can also understand ourselves better through that. But then we can also support others, and we can kind of find a greater strength, I think, in that interaction as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it's called a gateway, the visibility gateway, is because that portal is, you're on a threshold. The new place or the new identity or the new way of doing things is just in reach, but part of your system's like, and then so there's the death of the old self, and then but at this point of being just on the threshold, it's like chaos can happen.
Right, exactly.
I've kind of warned people, like, this is quite intense and lots of sensations and discomfort might happen, but it's all worth it. But they're still surprised when it happens. And I think a few people actually on the same hour of the same day, 2 or 3 people were like, I can't go on, it's just too much. And I was like, no, like, stick to it. And I think you described kind of maybe my way of doing things quite well. There's the nurture side, there's super support, really in-depth feedback and support and encouragement, but then I'm like challenging. By doing, you're challenged by having to make a video every week, but also there's the challenge of, being, it's being able to, it's like giving really powerful constructive feedback that speaks to the person's pain, that we're often too polite to, you wouldn't, you don't just go, hey. But the way it happens in the visibility gateway is that you get really in-depth clues into,
Yes.
this is the bit I need to really face or listen to or work on and acknowledge. And then this is my, so the nurturing, and then the edge, like, okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna push through this edge, not in a horrible way, but I'm stretching my wings, I'm stretching my capacity. And it's the practice element. The challenge is often having to practice a new muscle or a new way of doing things. Yeah, I think that the gateway is being able to be ready to go through your gateway into the new way of doing things that work better for you. And we're looking at it from not only from living a joyful, abundant life, enjoying your work, doing it in such a way that works for you, but also creating a work-life balance. And we're looking at it, because some people, like myself, I have gone down the path of just focusing on work and forgetting I have a life outside. And then now the whole way of working differently for me now is balancing all those elements and making the way I structure my work to really work with my life at the moment. And that can change. But that's what, one thing about this visibility gateway is that this is not a recipe or model for how to run your business. It is looking at, it's you learning to make decisions for yourself and discern what makes you tick, what are your skills, what is not your skills, and what would fit your life at the moment. So there's no cookie cutter in this, but there's a deep aspect of, like, there is marketing tools and there is video tools and there is, like, engaging your audience sort of ideas and recipes, but you're building the ingredients. It's like all of you have slightly different businesses. Some of you are doing, some of you are well on the path, others are just kind of starting out, and it's okay, because we're talking about how to, I think my main, like, how I could describe it is that we're aligning with the energetic tools and with practicing, is aligning kind of your spirit, your truth, your heart through to your expression. So your mission is in there, and then how to align all of that and your expression, and that actually goes through your energy field and lands to the right people that you can help the most. So it's that alignment that we're trying to create. And during the 5 weeks, it can be quite intense, because with the kinesiology, we can check where that's switched off or where that's blocked. And you mentioned, like, persecution and the suppression of the lineages that you teach, but other people have different lineages as well. But there's been immense oppression and immense judgment, persecution. And maybe we won't get killed in this day and age right now for those beliefs and running those programs or doing those modalities. But the imprint of that fear and trauma, like huge trauma, is in our human cells. It's like
in the DNA.
And a lot of us, a lot of people in our lineages were severely tortured or killed quite violently, or living in hiding, so constantly running. And in the last round, I know that with your round we did some, it's always new what comes up. The round that's just been, we were dismantling a lot of this energetic contraptions that were like, like blocking our voice,
right? Like energetic muzzles almost, right? Yeah.
It's been it's super intense, but I'm like thriving, because so I'm really enjoying being in that role of kind of holding space for a bigger group and work the way that works for me. So yeah, sorry, I've just gone on. But
oh no, it's great. It's great.
So I don't know, like, how, so you kind of were saying that there were parts of you, like there was like elements of you that weren't fully on board with being visible and expanding.
Yeah. Well, when you were talking about the alignment process, in terms of aligning the very expanded part of self with the personal identity, that was one of the things that I was really feeling in terms of my voice, feeling like it was in exile, right? My real true voice, and really wanting that back. And through the kinesiology specifically, and really truly through the challenge of it, right? Through having to do regular videos throughout the course and just keep practicing and making the mistakes. And it is truly around developing like a strength. It's an energetic muscle, and the container, the visibility gateway, it's so supportive for that. It really does. It nourishes. It's safe. Particularly, I think, because of the kinesiology, where the body starts to feel very heard and very witnessed. And I know that for me, a lot of the things that I was really like, my symptoms, my visibility resistance symptoms were very body based, right? So clamping down in the throat, where the throat actually literally constricts and it's hard to get the words out, that kind of thing. Or before doing a webinar, feeling nauseous, right? And jittery and shaky and all of that kind of thing. And so the tending to the body that happens, and the witnessing of the body, I think, is one of the most brilliant parts of this, because it really goes to that core level where the actual gritting of the original trauma that might have caused the voice to constrict. Or I do also know that myself and many of the women that I work with, and probably many of the people that are thinking about taking this visibility gateway, might have even made vows of silence, or vows to only be in service to truth, right? And because the cultures that we grew up in, and the way that we really see a lot of the spiritual path, or some of the healing modalities that we work with, being capitalized on and consumed, and really not used well in some ways, right? Misused, I guess, is a good way to put it. That there's resistance about not wanting to do it that way, right? And literally, even there can be a vow around, I won't do it that way.
And there's been a lot of that in this last round of vows and contracts that came up in the kinesiology. So just for anyone that hasn't ever heard of kinesiology, we're muscle testing, and I've created something called LEAP kinesiology, which is a way of doing a really safe group kinesiology online. And I'm basically muscle testing for the common threads in the group. And so we're not merging or anything like that. But what comes up is that a lot of us, that the magic of group is that often we've been put together for whatever reason, and there are threads that are common to us, certainly if we've got similar missions and drive. And the kinesiology is kind of tapping into what a talking therapy can't, in a way, which a talking therapy might take you 5 years of talking through all of the things until the thing is found, right back to the layer that's.
Well, and it's hard because the language that we speak, especially Western languages, don't always have the words for what the body's actually experiencing, right? And we can literally keep talking ourselves into the same story, and the same story keeps running again and again and circling around, right?
Yeah, so the kinesiology is being able to tap into the body wisdom, and we could even, it could be like this thought form, like I'm not good enough, for example, is a pretty universal one. It's almost like an entity in itself. It's got a solidity to it, and what happens is it seeps through, like you might have heard it, or it's just it's in advertising, it's in the way we're taught at school. It's like, you're good enough, you're not good enough, this all the time, you're pretty enough, you're not pretty enough, blah blah blah. And it's
contrast.
And then the kinesiology can tap into anyone, and just in the group or individually, and be like, okay, that thought form has reached right into your endocrine system, or into the cells, or into the energetic memory part of the aura. It could be anywhere, but we can find like straight away where the bullseye is, and then start. So instead of unraveling 20 years of that experience, we go to the root and dissolve and find the love. It's not just get rid of these programs and things that we picked up. It's actually pouring the love into where the love wasn't felt, or the needs weren't met, or the true self wasn't met. And so we get to that point, we pour the love in, we dissolve the hold that has on the system, because often all those things are there to protect us. Not that I'm not good enough, but all the things you built up around I'm not good enough. Oh, I'll be more perfect then.
Right.
Or I'll be really quiet, or I'll be really overpowering. All those strategies to overcome that I'm not good enough, because the body doesn't feel good like that. So it's like, how do I get love? Okay, well, I need to do this and I need to do that. And then, so those things are not, some people might call it self-sabotage, but maybe it's not self-sabotage. Maybe it's actually strategies to find love or feel love or belong, and, you know, all those things, to be valued. So instead of just ripping out the survival strategies, we let the body know that, okay, that helped you survive, thank you so much, but now is not the time. This isn't running, this program isn't helping us anymore. So it's finding a way of dissolving or pouring the love in where it wasn't felt before, so that the body can find a new way forward without actually limiting itself from experiencing love or belonging.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful how the kinesiology works. It's kind of like, you know, it's a very energetic, but it's also very physical, and often it's the body that stores the the holding patterns or the tensions or the stress or the pain. So we're working always with the body and the energy, but also the talking in the mind, just to link it all up. So it's very powerful what happens in 2 hours with the group. It's pretty, it's amazing actually to be part of it.
I think it's really miraculous. I just think that it really taps into all the essential layers that need to be, they actually need to be reconnected in that way, right? So the body needs the emotions, and the emotions need the thoughts, and etc. And then we need our spiritual light bodies all linking up together. And there's something about the journey with the kinesiology that it allows the whole system, your whole system, to start to come into coherence again. And then that's really truly where the safety is, where your real voice may be, and all of that, right?
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to put, and I just love it. I'm totally in the element when I'm
Well,
doing.
as I said, it's your genius. It's really truly incredible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of humor as well helps, rather than always being so serious. I kind of try and bring in, well, I am just kind of bring in laughter and humor just to move through some of the stuff, because it's not always helpful.
Well, I think that one of the blocks that many of us can have, because of course the persecution and the trauma have been very serious, but it blocks us off oftentimes from being joyful and fun. And it sometimes we need an infusion of that lightness, right? We need an infusion of, oh yeah, actually, some humor, right? One of the things I actually teach in some of the priestess path is the importance of humor to heal the mind, right? It actually lights up particular parts of the brain that give you more access to more of your potential. It makes the whole brain more plastic and fluid, and allows the nervous system to actually come into more of a settling. I forget if it's a parasympathetic, I forget the actual response one, that it is a technical term for it, but it allows the system to kind of drop down.
And I often see laughter as it's like a fire energy that helps break up some really, you know, like hard stuff that's in our systems. It helps burn through, in a way. Burn through it. But yeah, so nice to be chatting to you.
I know, it's wonderful.
I'm just wondering, oh, I did write something down. Okay, there was a piece, I don't know if this is so relevant to you, but I'd like to communicate it with people that are interested. Is there a lot of people in the spiritual path or in the healing modalities? Some people are very grounded and very structured and have that, but a lot are kind of enjoying their magical realms, and they're really like sort of out there a lot, up out in the dimensions or the planets or the stars. And in their underworld or in their, you know, the energy world, they're constantly seeing patterns, but they're not so much got their feet on the ground and ready to make structure happen, to make a business happen. And that's the bit that I think I've kind of am encouraging, and it become part, it really is part and parcel of the visibility gateways. Okay, let's get organized, let's land, and let's get our elbows in. And a lot of people are like, no, it sounds so boring and horrible. But actually it gives your system, again, like that's what you're saying, is the calming of the nervous system. If you have a foundation and a structure to how you work, to how, you know, the flow of work and the way you ask for remuneration for what you do, and that kind of, or if all of that is in a system and in place and held, then you can relax and just do your magic bit. So it's just like sometimes there's this it's not all just follow your bliss. There's some of it is like, okay, come on, there's these things and it will bring bliss.
Mm.
And I think so that's quite an alien feeling for a lot of the people going through the visibility gateway, of that landing, and then suddenly everything looks very real.
Right.
And then they've got these lists of all the things they need to kind of do over time. And I think I really take this, I think I take the sting out of the, oh, this is boring, or, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
help the body realize that A, it's safe to be in your body. It's actually
Yeah.
just as magical in the earth and in this dimension where we can make things happen and manifest. It's also, there's as much magic here as there is out there, and it's just like this landing. And yeah, so that's part of the whole thing, is getting more structured and landing so that you can really make things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated that part of the journey, because I mean, I've done a number of different business mentoring programs and coaching programs and that kind of thing, and had resistance to it. I mean, I do actually love structure. I have a tropical Virgo South Node, if anybody knows astrology. But I think that one of the resistances around that can be that it's in that elemental realm of earth that much of the trauma actually happened.
Mhm.
Right. And and that's oftentimes where we find many of the distortions, right? The kind of earth traditional business, a lot of business is actually very distorted from in the old paradigm. And so I think there's a resistance and kind of a, maybe even a repulsion around that for some of us that are very spiritually oriented and really love all the healing realms and the energetics of everything. But one of the things that really dropped in for me, and I knew this before going into the visibility gateway, but it very much cohered, it came into this kind of harmonic, was the deep remembrance that the physical body and all of these pieces of the earth elemental realm, the business structures, they're light systems as well, right? So the physical body is the earth body in the tradition that I teach. And we oftentimes just have a kind of a schism between where we think, oh, it's very separate from the spiritual realms or all the different layers of the light body. But the earth body, or the earth body of your business, which is the business structures, it's a light realm as well. It's an energy realm. And if you tend to it really beautifully, it, it actually needs to be part of the whole system for your both, a practitioner's full embodiment of the magic that lives inside of them. And then also really that most of the time that magic, like I said at the beginning where we started, when I was talking about the spiritual journey, a lot of times this magic is actually, it's really meant to reach other people. It's bigger than a personal storyline. And the business structures actually allow it to reach other people.
Yeah.
Right. So what I notice for a lot of the women that I work with is that this big ancient magic or healing capacity or visionary, spiritual visionary kind of territory, if it doesn't get directed really in deep alignment, it can create massive amounts of chaos in a person's life, whether that's in relationships or family systems, or internally it can show up as depression, or even sometimes a psychological diagnosis, or just lots and lots of different things. It can just cause lots of havoc.
Yeah.
Because it's actually meant to reach others as well, right? It's a collective, it's a healing for the collective. So I actually so deeply appreciated how you wove those business structural teachings in. Now, I had a lot of them already set up for myself, but there were pieces that can always be adjusted and tended to, just like a house, a sacred house, a building is a sacred temple, really. And so I just feel like the structures of our businesses are the kind of the templates, right? They're the templates through which
Scaffolding is kind of like,
yes, the scaffolding, that's a great word. And so, we just have to keep tending to them. Like they go into disrepair, they just need attention. So the way that I think having those structures delivered within the context of the greater program of working very powerfully in the energetic realms with the kinesiology and directly with the body, there was some kind of overlaying that allowed a greater ease or some kind of greater flow with them. I found myself spontaneously, effortlessly, happily sending out a newsletter finally after 3 or 4 years, honestly. I don't have, I've done it before, but it's not been one of the places I focus on, but I know that it would support, right? I know that it's a great practice, not just to reach people, to create community and all of that. And so I found myself doing that. I found myself actually tending to these things on my to-do list that had been, again, backed up for years.
A lot of people are saying that as well. And
I wouldn't,
that are
yeah,
planning, like either going, doing video and haven't for years, or
yeah.
had their website sat there. A lot of them on the last day, like yesterday and today, they had their last kinesiology call, and the next thing you know, they're posting in the group, I just did my first live, or here's my new website.
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? And I found for myself that when with the tending of the body and all the different layers as they start to come together, right? They start to link back in, that there's actually this longed for effortlessness that starts to happen, where I would find myself, without pushing myself or hustling or even bullying myself, like, you got to sit down and get this to-do list done. I just find myself doing it.
Yeah, and I think that one of the pieces of the magic of the Visibility Gateway is that we're actually not doing marketing just for the scaffolding and for the structure and for it to do, that you have a business that's working. It's actually, we're doing marketing on an energetic level. We're making sure that, because if there is deep, that's where we start with the body, is because if there is deep fear of visibility, like a blockage or distortion, field, or fear, not wanting to actually have clients come, but you want to, but you don't, and all that stuff that's blocking. When you put a post out or a newsletter out or a video out, and then no one sees it, or it's like, I sometimes, even the person, you're watching someone on a video and your mind starts drifting, and you're like, but I'm interested in this, why is my mind drifting? And it's almost like their energy is throwing little carpet bombs at you, so that you don't listen and you don't respond, or you look elsewhere, or you get distracted, or you scroll past that person's thing. So what we're doing is making sure that that alignment is there, and that there's a really willingness to be able to receive, or open to receive clients, or financial side of things, and just making sure it's all free and open so that it can actually happen. So I think a lot of people have realized that when they can powerfully speak about what they're doing in such a way that people really feel heard, seen, and understood, and then you can offer something that can help them. And if you can engage that form of communication plus the energetic opening of that communication, that's where engagement happens, and that's where your visibility happens. So there's so many layers to this. It's really hard, I think, for either of us just to try and explain what happens in the Visibility Gateway, because there's all those different layers happening all at once in a way. But it does seem to work very well in that it's not over. I mean, there's moments maybe where you feel challenged and like frustrated and maybe emotional because you've maybe held yourself back so long. But I think overall, all the pieces come together, and I think it's quite robust in that we're looking at all the levels of you and your business and what you're offering. So it's exciting. It's really exciting.
It really is. I mean, I personally had an extraordinary journey with it, and then I shared it with my community, and I know a number of women joined for your second round, and I know they've been having extraordinary journeys as well. And I would just say, anybody who's watching and looking and considering, jump on, because truly, I want to do like a little blurb for you, Sarah. What you put into this course is amazing. The value, it really should be priced at a much higher level. And you're just so generous, and it is part of your mastery genius.
Thank you.
Current. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a profound, it's deeply healing personally. It's stabilizing for your voice, for your work. It's a really beautiful journey on so many levels. And, from where I sit as a teacher, that it does work with women who, are spiritually inclined and are leaders. I know that so many people, men and women, have this wisdom, these offerings inside. And the world will be a better place when these voices are out in the world, out and doing, collaborating and sharing. And it's through these beautiful sacred exchanges of energy, whether it looks like a program that you're running or a healing session that you're giving, that we're creating a new field of energy within which everyone really can start to thrive. And so I just would encourage everyone, if you're thinking about it, to jump in, because it's profound, really, what happens in the journey.
Very touching. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I think for me, the why I love doing this is that I'm supporting people that are going to support people. And when their voice opens, they're allowing others to open. So it's this sort of like, this is a point of, this can expand and complexify as it goes. So it's not like just helping one person at a time.
Yes.
It's like, oh, wow, I'm helping the leaders and the healers and the helpers. And yeah, it's really bringing a lot.
It's an exponential kind of field, right?
I think the sister iteration of this is that I'm going to be offering Visibility Gateway for corporations and businesses that have a project, so that we can kind of use technology to muscle test. Is this the right time to do that? Where's this missing piece? There's something in the way of that being landing. So it's like really exciting. That kind of came through the last few days. I was like, I'm going to do this.
Excellent.
So it's going. But just before we finish, do you want to let us know how people can get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. So you can find me on Facebook. It's Awakening Avalon. It's at Avalon 333. You can also find me on Instagram. It's at Awakening Avalon Temple. My website is being revamped right now. There's a landing page with a beautiful video invitation to the Priestess Path, and a place where you can reach out to me if you'd like to, if you're interested. Okay, so the website is just www.awakeningavalon.com. And so again, there's a place you can put your email in and, sign up for future information.
Yeah. Does the Priestess Path, the 3-year course, does that start on a particular day, or does that just start anytime? Or?
Well, I was going to actually do an enrollment in the spring, but it came up right at the time that we started going into quarantine and the pandemic started just this past spring. So I've postponed it and going to be doing the enrollment probably this fall. I haven't totally dialed in a specific date yet. But it'll be sometime this fall, or maybe towards the very beginning of 2021. So if people are interested in the Priestess Path or interested in Avalon and the Avalon mystery tradition, the best thing to do is just to go and to check out the Facebook page and my Instagram page. There's a feed that's there with some of my writings, and you can get a feel for it there.
Thank you. Yeah. It sounds amazing. And I have got about, I think 4 of your women have joined Visibility Gateway that just ended, and they were, beautiful, amazing people. And really I've had a huge benefit from the Visibility Gateway as well, to really like land those pieces that they've been working on and coming up with offerings. So yeah, it's been really beautiful. And thank you so much for your support and sending people my way.
Oh yeah, happy to.
And then just if people are interested in Visibility Gateway, you can't actually get to it if you just put my website in, which is very clever and make invisible of me. But it has its own page. So if you want to find it, it's www.withsarahj.com/visibility, transform dash visibility. I'll write it in the comments. It's probably easier than me saying it. And also the next round 3 is starting on the 18th of August, and it's a 5-week course. And the price has gone up since yours, but it's still very low for the amount of support and transformation and value that you get. I mean, you're coming out with the confidence, the alignment, like your whole energy system shifted from it, and a business blueprint.
And a business training too. That actually can actually really land, because it's embedded within this greater journey and
I know the price is way too low, and I totally know it is, but for me it's like I wanted to do like this sort of stepping stone. So basically it's like allowing people to go like, what is this thing? Is it just
and I think
it's so different.
I think it's really beautiful too, because we are in just a really extraordinary moment where many people are feeling really challenged financially at the moment, and I think it's generous, and it's also just in alignment that you've got it priced, in an accessible way, because this is a time for people to be able to take that step.
Yeah, and right now it's 5 weeks long, but I'm thinking, as we go through the rounds, I'm like, oh, we could, I think they need longer on this bit or that bit. It might become a longer thing, but right now it's 5 weeks and it's enough right now. But there are several people did round 2 again. So they did round 1 and round 2, so that you can repeat it and keep going deeper or focus on a different project that you've got going on and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of, and then, I offer basically all my private clients now are, one-to-ones are from the visibility gateways. So I've got to know you, I know what's going on, and we just keep going deeper and deeper into that. So yeah, super exciting. And I don't think I have anything else I want to share right now, but thank you so much for jumping on a call with me. And you just got to the UK, haven't you? So welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be home.
Yeah, so you can put your details after the on the live feed, and I'll do the same. And then if you want to get in touch, anybody out there, just drop us a line. Yeah, thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Sarah. So many blessings to you, lady.
Thank you so much.